Shout out to Caressa Midnight for sending me this story. And this is none other than Rahm Emanuel. And y'all won't, well, you won't and you will believe what just happened with him. So we know how shady and underhanded this Rahm Emanuel is and have come to know him over the years, come to know and loathe more is more like it. So we know what happened with him with the whole thing with Laquan McDonald and Jason Van Dyke and that whole situation. And he was, of course, no longer the mayor of Detroit. Well, he has now found a new gig. He is now about to be an ABC News contributor. I swear they be putting the most unqualified people in these positions. They be putting people with shady past into these positions. Now, you know, the person I just recently spoke about, which was Rick the Snake Snyder and all the stuff he did with Flint, Michigan, and how he basically was able to get a fellowship position at Harvard that only lasted a week until people protested and made their voices loud. And he pretty much was removed from that position after just 1 week. The same thing needs to happen with Rahm Emanuel, but I think that one might be a little bit harder to do. But who knows what the future may hold? Who knows what could actually happen? But let me go ahead and read this article coming from Variety.com. Rahm Emanuel, a former Chicago, excuse me, I misspoke. I said Detroit. I meant Chicago. A former Chicago mayor and probably one of the worst mayors and White House Chief of Staff is joining ABC News as a contributor, the network announced Sunday. Previously, Emanuel worked as the 55th mayor of Chicago, serving from 2011 to 2019. He also served as the White House Chief of Staff from 2009 to 2010 under President Obama and as a member of the United States House of Representatives for Chicago prior to his White House position. Since his mayoral departure, Emanuel has also become a contributing editor for the Atlantic magazine, where he penned his first piece, "It's Time to Hold American Elites Accountable for Their Abuses." Are you going to hold yourself accountable, Rahm Emanuel? I think he would probably fall into that category in some way, shape, or form. In the article, Emanuel calls on Democrats to focus more on the middle class in light of Varsity Blues investigation. Additionally, Emanuel made headlines earlier this year for criticizing the decision by Cook County prosecutors to drop charges against Empire actor Jussie Smollett. According to the investigation, police found that Smollett had paid brothers Abel and Ola Asadaro to stage a hate attack against him on January 29th. Smollett also claimed that two men had poured bleach on him while using racial and homophobic slurs. "This is a whitewash of justice," Emanuel said. "This is a person who has been let off scot-free with no sense of accountability of the moral and ethical wrong of his actions." Oh, really? Now, I knew that this article wouldn't mention it, but I said, you know what? Let me not jump the gun and let me read the whole thing just to be sure, because they might mention it. Now, it's interesting that this article mentioned the thing about Jussie Smollett towards the end, but they failed to talk about Laquan McDonald and Jason Van Dyke, because he knew that would be an indictment on himself. They're trying to make you forget what he did and the involvement he had when it came to that case. And they don't need to say, oh, it was so long ago. They just sentenced Jason Van Dyke, quote unquote, last year for something that happened less than 10 years ago. But they had to make sure to keep that extremely under wraps. Because you know. But it's no surprise that, one, they didn't talk about that in the article. And it's no surprise that he got this new position with ABC. But I think it's funny when he says that Jussie Smollett was let off scot-free. Well, Jason Van Dyke, you was about to let him get off scot-free before he even went to trial. He probably would have preferred that. He was probably like, I need something else to happen right now in order to take the heat off of me for this. And he was probably thanking his lucky stars that Jussie Smollett did what he did. That way he could try to shed or shy away from what just recently occurred, with the Jason Van Dyke situation. But like they always say, they never get fired, they get transferred. And I don't think he was even fired from his mayor position. He was his time was just up, or he stepped down or something like that. He wasn't actually fired. But he found his way to being in in another position where unfortunately his voice can still be heard. But y'all let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I will talk to you in the next one.